Go ahead, Mayor.
Good evening, friends and neighbors. It is 7 o'clock, plus a minute or two. On the 1st of June in 2020, we meet in these troubled times on a beautiful June evening to discuss some items that may affect the health and welfare of our community. Alyssa, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Mayor Porter?
Here.
Councillor Hook is running late. She should be here shortly. Councillor McDonald? Councillor Mullen?
Here.
Councillor Ort?
Here.
Councillor Patty?
I'm here.
All right, and for staff, I'm here, Alyssa, and Keith Campbell, City Manager, is here in the building with me. Chief Friesendahl is here. Susanna Sabraja is here, and Dan Fleischman is here. Lance and Jana are not here tonight. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
First item of business is the consent agenda for May 18th. And would the council like to deal with that, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
And I have a first motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. No discussion on that, so on a voice vote, would all in favor say aye? If we can do that. If not, I'll have to have support ready to give.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
our temporary council rules say that we need to be full every position.
Well, let's do that. Let's not give in to negligence here. Alyssa, would you pull the council on that, please?
Sure. Councillor Patty?
Yes.
Councillor Ort?
Yes.
Councillor Mullen?
Yes.
Councillor McDonald?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Okay. The next item we've got is a public hearing certifying the eligibility of electing to receive state revenue sharing funds. And at the commencement of a public hearing, I have to read this. City of Stayton State Revenue Sharing Funds. Oregon Revised Statutes number 1021.770 requires 2 public hearings to be held from citizens regarding the use of state revenue sharing funds distributed to the city of Stayton. The purpose of this hearing is to hear public testimony on the proposed uses of the funds. Before opening the public hearing, we'll receive a staff report. And so, Susanna, would you bring us a staff report on that, please?
Yes, this one you're voting for the gas tax, the cigarette tax, the liquor tax, and the state revenue sharing. The rates are the same as last year's rates, so there is no change. So it's not very exciting for this staff report. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything else in the staff report is just all the rules and regulations that we're required to have the hearing to adopt the rate.
Okay, I will now
The revenue.
Thank you, Susanna.
You're welcome.
I will now open the public hearing. Did city staff receive any written testimony or request to participate in a conference call or in person regarding the proposed uses of state revenue sharing?
No, we did not, Mayor Porter.
Okay. There was no written, there was no verbal. There was no written testimony. Was there any in-person verbal testimony?
No, there's not.
Okay. There's a line on this. We've opened the public hearing. There's no public comment. Is there any council discussion? You don't have it in the script here. Melissa?
No, that'd be after you close the hearing. This is just to receive any public testimony.
Okay. After everyone's provided testimony, there being no further public testimony, I'm going to close the public hearing. And where does that leave us? Under council deliberation. So, anyone? Anyone at all? No public, no council discussion on this? Okay, you've got the script. Everyone should have. It's resolution number 1005 and resolution number 10006, certifying eligibility and electing to receive state revenue sharing funds. Remember that under ORS 221760, counties with more than 100,000 inhabitants must provide 4 or more of the following services: police protection, fire protection, street construction, maintenance and lighting, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, planning, zoning, and subdivision control, and 1 or more utility services. And we do that. Okay. So, anyone on the council have anything to say on any of this?
Just one question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Only a question, but do we have to motion these separately or?
Yeah, separate. 2 separate motions.
Now we'll go ahead and motion to approve resolution 1005. As presented.
Seconded.
We have to do this in 2 motions. Did you say that?
Yeah,
105, or 10.5 and 10.6?
yes.
Okay, Councilor Patty.
Yes.
Are you ready for me to poll the council, Mayor?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you want me to poll the council? Are we there?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Counselor Ort?
Yes.
Counselor Patty?
Yes.
Counselor Mullen?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed 4-0.
That's on 10.05.
Yes.
And now, council decision on resolution 10.06.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 1006, declaring the city's election to receive state revenues.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. That's a second. Thank you, Counselor. And Alyssa?
Yep.
Poll the council, please.
Okay. Counselor Mullen?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Patty?
Yes.
Counselor Ort?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you, folks. Next item is the City of Stayton 2019-2020 fiscal year budget. And let's see where these are. What do it now? Yeah. Commencement of public hearing. Okay, Oregon budget law requires that a public hearing be held by the governing body prior to its adoption of a budget for the ensuing fiscal year. The purpose of this hearing is to receive public input and testimony concerning the budget approved by the State Budget Committee. And this is for fiscal year 2021. So, we have a staff report. Susanna?
Okay, So, this is the budget for the next fiscal year, beginning July 1st of 20 and going through June 30th of 21. The budget committee approved the budget with our state revenue taxes and our levy taxes as they currently are. Everything in the budget is the same that was presented to the council this evening. There's only one change I had to make. And you have that in there on your packet. For the FERS fund, I made a mistake and accidentally left the funds for the 90,000 that we're bringing over from the police department in contingency. And from our audit findings from last year, I got all the templates fixed, but this one, can't have contingency in a fund that does not have a personnel or materials and service expense. So that had to be moved to future expenditures. So technically, I have reduced the expenditures by 185,000. You can see that on the last page where you see the first stabilization fund has a negative 185,000 in contingency. That was moved down to the unappropriated and future expenditure total. You can see that, so that brings it up to 5.2 million. Other than that, everything in the budget is the same that was approved by the budget committee on May 12th. Do you have any questions?
Okay. Is that your staff report, Suzanne?
Yes.
Okay. Then, after the staff report, I will open the public hearing. Did city staff receive any written testimony or request to participate in a conference call or in person regarding the fiscal year 2021 budget?
Yes, Mayor Porter, we received one public testimony from Revitalize Downtown Stayton, which was emailed out shortly after 5 o'clock this evening to the council members and posted on the city's website under the council agenda, where the agendas packets posted.
Who sent that again?
It was Revitalize Downtown Stayton, RDS.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess I didn't get that. I read it too. Okay. Let's see.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we also received, and I said this during the budget committee as well, but we also received a correspondence from the Stayton Sublimity Chamber of Commerce back in March. And she, Carmel, who is the CEO, also requested some time to talk to the council about what the chamber does and how other chambers and cities cooperate with each other. I know that we have a membership fee that we pay for a chamber membership essentially. But in my understanding with talking with her previously, that other cities do more to support their chamber and in effect support businesses. And I was told during the budget committee meeting that that wasn't the time to talk about that this was the time to talk about it. And I'm just a little concerned that if we move forward with this and not giving her the opportunity to speak when she asked us to, would do a disservice to the community.
And you said that request was made in March?
Yes.
This is June.
I know.
There been opportunities to address that between March and now? That's all right. I mean, it happens, and it's a reasonable request. Let's, well, is this a discussion item or not? Well, let's see.
I'll just wait till it's time to make a motion, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Public hearing. And then close the public hearing, and then there's time for council deliberation on this, Counselor. maybe that's the place to put this request in. I'm just asking. Does that sound reasonable?
Mr. Mayor, my concern with us closing the public hearing is, that we know for a fact that RDS has obviously reached out to us, but the chamber also reached out to us previously, and, so we at least know that she wanted the opportunity to speak with us. I cannot say why she did not reach out prior to this meeting for the public hearing, but I think it would possibly be wise to keep, I mean, I'll make a motion when it's appropriate time, but to possibly push this over to another meeting to give people the opportunity, because you know what, there's at least one other person that wanted the opportunity to speak to us. And given these kind of weird circumstances that we're in, it doesn't make it easy.
That's an understatement. But, so we delay this adoption of the fiscal year budget for, people who put these requests in. Is that actually what you're asking?
Yeah.
Well, let me go back to, Susanna. What does deferring a decision on this do for us in the short term?
We would have been unable to pay payroll, we'd be unable to do any spending of any kind, we would be out of compliance, and we would not be able to move forward to maintain the city's needs for all public works, public needs, police, all of it.
That would be after the 1st of July, right?
Correct.
Okay.
City's not allowed to spend without approval of the spending, of the adoption that's sitting before you this evening.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Susanna, just for a clarifying question, when I was, and this might not be for you, but when we were back in the budget committee last month, and I brought this to the attention of the budget committee, saying that there were organizations in the community that, and I'm not saying that I agree or disagree, but there are organizations in the community that were wanting to be a part of this discussion, and I was told that we needed to wait until now. And so I guess I'm just a little confused on how we can actually have these people be a part of this conversation if we are not committing ourselves very much time to then make adjustments as needed. Because say that they come to the council and we decide, hey, yeah, we want to change something, then what happens? And how does that process delay things if we only have a month and we only have 2 meetings to do that?
That's part of why we have such a long budget committee time for review, so that all those things are talked through then. Alyssa's done an excellent job getting information out to the community on what they need to do in the timeframes under the COVID restrictions that we have to get letters in, as RDS did, and so the community knows what they need to do to submit the letters at this time. So the only one that you've actually received was RDS, according to Alyssa. So at this point, that's the only community member that's got the information here. I mean, tough times.
Well, it's awkward. How do you have public testimony in a meeting like this? Have people, I don't know how to do it. It's just,
From my understanding, it comes in a written format and the timeline as it was given, and it's submitted to all of you. So their written testimony is submitted before the meeting. Right, Alyssa, am I understanding the rule correctly?
Yeah, they're given, they can submit written testimony as RDS did. They can request to call in on, come in on the Zoom if that works best for them, conference call, or there is the option to come in person here. They just need to notify us about I think the limit's 2 hours before the meeting so that we can be prepared.
Mr. Mayor?
We've been sending this information out since March, since we started the COVID change in the rules. Is anybody in the Alyssa, is there any community members there?
No.
Councilor Mullen.
Well, I just wanted to verify what I thought I heard Alyssa saying. So if somebody wanted to do a presentation, like the Stayton Chamber of Commerce, they wanted to do a presentation, they could schedule it and be attached to the Zoom meeting so they could do a presentation. Is that what you're saying?
Sort of. Right now, technically with our temporary rules, there's no presentations, but they would be able to come give public testimony in person if they wanted to.
Okay.
Similar to what we would do at a regular meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
They'd show up there with you.
Yes, that is an option. You ready?
Did everyone get a chance to look through that RDS letter that came in today?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
It was on my email list at about 5 this afternoon, so I got to look at it. Yes.
So I guess to go to Councilor Orts, I mean, you, as the council, you received a letter from the Chamber of Commerce. They currently, we do pay a membership fee. I think it's $7.99 a year. My understanding is that Chamber of Commerce has asked for additional funding. So you're aware of that. The RDS had submitted testimony. You have that information in front of you as well. So, I mean, you have the information that you need. The council just needs to make a decision on what they want to do with that information. I mean, that would be basically my response back at this point. I would hate to get too much into when the chamber submitted. You have that information. They've made the request. My understanding is the entire council. So I don't recall what they were asking for in addition, but I mean, at this point, if the council wanted to do that, and Susanna could talk about financial impacts if there's, depending on what you wanted to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I don't know, is this our discussion time? Are we still understaffed?
It's under discussion.
Did you close the hearing?
I'm going to close the public hearing. Now we're on discussion. Go ahead.
Okay.
I am just a little disappointed in this whole process. And I'm even more disappointed because I was hoping that this wasn't the way that this was going to go, because during our budget committee meeting is when I really thought that this information should be brought forward. But now we're under this timeline, and now, as it was brought up before, if we make changes to the budget committee with our community members have already approved, and we make any changes to that, doesn't that go against the spirit of having a budget committee with our community members? And we did not give the community any opportunity to do any presentations or any public comments that could go along with our budget. And I feel like that was the time to make changes, but I was told, no, that's not the time. And now is the time to make changes. And I'm specifically advocating for the Chamber of Commerce because I know that they had asked us before, and I was told, no, we need to wait till this process. But our process is not working. And I'm disappointed that whether or not we were going to choose to give money to an organization, we don't have, there's no way to do that. How do we even do that? We never asked them in either of their letters. There was no specific amount. However, the chamber asked if they could come to us and have a presentation, and that there was no follow through with that. I brought it up several times, and nobody really seems to care about it. And so I don't really know how are we supposed to even have a conversation about whether or not we should give RDS money? We don't even know how much money they want. How do we say, yes, we're going to give you money, and we don't even know how much we're looking at?
Can I ask, just in the kindest way possible, how are we going to determine that, what those needs were, what those requests were?
Mr. Mayor, we would do that by having them come in and have testimony, or having them come in and do a presentation, which actually both organizations have asked us repeatedly to do. If we had that opportunity, if we'd given them that opportunity, then we could ask them those things. But none of that has happened. And I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm just saying that I'm disappointed in our process. And it's obviously not working. So.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, here she is.
Hey. Sorry, I just finished up another meeting. I just wanted to say that first off, I was not here for all of the hearing, so I'm not gonna be able to vote on this. I don't feel comfortable voting, but it is closed right now, the hearing, and I just want to say that I echo pretty much everything that Councilor Ward said.
Those are good. Anyone else on this at this point?
Mr. Mayor, I would just also like to say, I'm disappointed that I didn't kind of hear what the ask was from these two organizations, and I was really looking forward to seeing that, some kind of correspondence from them or written testimony. I'm disappointed not to have seen that.
Okay,
We did get the testimony from RDS.
we need to be responsive to,
Mr. Mayor,
we're trying to be responsive to community's needs, I think. And these are, it's just another example of this difficult situation we have to try to function in. Counselor, go ahead.
I'm just very confused. I don't understand what it is that we're looking for. So RDS has submitted written testimony. We have it posted that if you have stuff that you want us to consider, to post it. We post that stuff in our public announcements. I'm not sure where the disconnect is here. Is it because we didn't send a specific verbal invitation to them? Or could somebody kind of help me through this? I'm not sure why RDS submitted written testimony, but the Chamber of Commerce hasn't. Is it something that we didn't do, or can somebody help me kind of close that gap?
Right. Councilors, I'm hearing that Councilor Ward suggested several times since March that the chamber be invited to speak at a council meeting, and none of that's happened. I don't remember that, those specific items, but there may be. How many cases and how many times did you ask them to come to a meeting, Councilor?
Mr. Mayor brought it up at least twice that I know of. And I don't necessarily feel like it is the city or our responsibility to, to hold people's hands per se. After our budget meeting, I did reach out to Carmel and say, hey, if this is something that you're interested, if you're going to pursue this, please submit your testimony. And I don't think that she has done that. What my issue is I feel like we are too far in the process. Susanna just said that if we don't approve our budget right now, we only have one more meeting before we are out of compliance and we're not going to be able to pay payroll and do all these other things. And so we're more on an imminent timeline. And I would agree, Susanna, that we had 3 days for our budget meeting. And when I brought it up, it was like, oh, well, you should do this now. And I mean, honestly, I probably should have pushed for it more then. But now you're saying we only have one more, this is the only opportunity for the meeting to come and submit testimony. And I guess I'm just not happy with our process.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think, again, that understanding when the fiscal year begins is kind of our responsibility as city councilors. And I also know that a lot of citizens, especially those that participate in the process, should also know when the fiscal year begins. So like Councilor Patty said, I'm kind of disappointed that I don't have that information in front of me. I understand that there's been some disconnect about getting them to actually do a presentation, but I still would have liked to have had something from the Chamber of Commerce, and yet here I am with nothing. And you're right, we do only have one meeting left. But I feel compelled to continue to move forward with the budget process. And I don't feel like I've missed out or denied anybody their process or their ability to participate in the process.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman?
So I'm gonna wholeheartedly disagree with, President Mullen and say that I feel like we have made it so people cannot participate in the process. Because I have heard Councilor Ford and myself, I know that I've said multiple times that I don't feel like voices are being heard right now during COVID-19. And this was an exact problem that I had with our budget and passing the budget, which is why I voted no. Because I didn't feel like we were taking care of the things that we needed to take care of during budget committee when citizen members, resident members were on the call. So I just want to say that I think that our process is highly lacking in accessibility and in engagement with the community, and comments like what I just heard doesn't help the process.
Mr. Mayor, where's the material? Where's the material? If I had the material, then we could talk about the material. We could talk about what it is that they want to present. I have nothing in front of me. And we have one meeting left to continue forward.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I understand that, and, you know, I'm a little frustrated with myself that I didn't reach out to the Chamber of Commerce sooner, and I keep using them as an example because, again, I know that she sent us information in March, and I brought it up several times that we have been given information that she would like to have time to do a presentation, and then we're told, no, we can't have presentations. Okay, that's fine, but how do we effectively communicate with the community? Again, regardless of whether or not we're actually going to give anyone any money, but how do we make this process so that we can hear those voices and that they can be part of the process? Because I was told at the budget meeting that wasn't the time. And now it's too late.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Chris?
If Carmel had reached out to me and said, hey, I would like to present, I would have made it happen. I would have reached out to Keith and said, how do I work this? How do I get this materials in? And if it was submitting it and we weren't allowed to have them present, or if they were, I would have worked that on the back end. Again, nobody's reached out to me to ask me anything for any assistance. And maybe that's something that I'm failing in. But again, there was time. And now we're running out of time.
Well, if we all remember that March was when this great, almost maybe too extreme a word, disconnect started, and nothing was working the way it probably should. The easy interaction between ourselves and the community went kind of haywire, and we started these, to me, awkward Zoom meetings. I don't think it's a fault of the process so much as just the times we live in. We'll get through it.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor.
I would just like to say, look, I know I'm coming across incredibly crass, and I agree wholeheartedly with what you said. We are in different times. These are challenging times. I just don't want to hear that things like we don't care or that the process isn't good. This council, as well as city staff, has worked very hard to try to get word out of how to prepare materials to get in front of the council. And I'm finding it very difficult to hear that the process is the problem or that we're the problem when there's ways to work with the process, within the process.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say that I'm sorry that people find it difficult to understand that maybe we're the problem and that maybe it's our outreach and communication that needs some improvement, but that is actually the case. We missed the mark with our outreach and our communication, and we knew well ahead of time. And I didn't reach out to the chamber either, and I'm sorry about that because what they probably got was a message of no, you can't present, period. Instead of, and then that's probably where they stopped, even though, you know, there was a process put in place. But if you don't communicate the process, it doesn't matter. If your intent doesn't match your impact, it doesn't matter. We need to do better. And so if you don't want to take feedback, if someone doesn't want to take feedback, that's fine, but maybe local government isn't for you then.
Mr. Mayor, we have presented the process. It's posted on the City of Stayton website.
And what percentage of City of Stayton residents don't have access to internet, Councilor Mullins?
The Chamber of Commerce does.
Mr. Mayor,
They're not the only person. Okay.
I use the Chamber of Commerce as an example. However, I really feel like I understand Councilor Mullen's point that I'm not saying that we don't. I'm not necessarily saying that we don't care, but we have an opportunity here to go back and look at our budget process, and we did not give an opportunity to have public comment throughout that whole thing. We had one item that was allowed to have public comment, and the rest of it did not. And so when I was told this was the opportunity to give up public comment, well, now, again, we're up against a budget timeline as opposed to a month ago where we could have spent one more day and hashed it out. Even if you don't want to do that, then that was actually the time to do it. And so this is an opportunity for us to look at this and say, okay, next year, why don't we add a public comment on at least one of those days, the first day, the second day, whichever day it is. So let's add a public comment to that so that we can have that opportunity and we're not in this kind of situation. And you're right, Councilor Mullen. The chamber we do not have anything specifically from them for public comment today. And knowing that the chamber did reach out to, I believe, all of the council, and so I'm disappointed in myself with not reaching out to her. But I do think that this is an opportunity for us to change our process for next year for our budget.
Maybe not a complete failure of city government. Let's hope. Anyone else? Well, we're still in council deliberation. Folks ready to go to a vote on resolution 1007? What would you like to do?
Mr. Mayor.
Hey, there's a silent voice. Thank you.
If you just know me at all, I'm definitely the deliberative type. I think quite a bit before I speak, but I would say on this issue that we've been talking about, I tend to side in agreeing most with Councilor. I think, given the circumstances presented to us by COVID and the limitations that we have, I think we did the best that can be expected in a reasonable manner as far as outreach. I think there's a limit to how much can be expected of the council to reach out in this type of situation to any individual or organization that may want to put on the process. I definitely feel like if, especially for organizations or individuals that are asking for money, if they wanted that money, they should come get it. They should present their plans, written or otherwise. there have been opportunities between March and now to do that. And, I feel like if I want a raise from my boss, I go get it. I go to him, I figure out when he's available, and I go do it. I don't wait for an invitation. I don't wait for a special invitation. I don't do any of that stuff. I think it is incumbent upon those people that are going to be asking for money, if it's important to them, to come get it. And so in that, I agree with Councilman Mullen that if we have materials that said detailed out how much they're asking for, what they're going to do with it, then we can take some more action on this. We've kind of gotten these vague requests for support that don't really mean a lot to me. Because it includes this letter from RDS. They're kind of asking for support, but we don't really know what that means. Is it verbal support? Is it money? How much money? What exactly do they want? We don't know. And so I have difficulty at this point pausing or making any sort of more delay on the budget process. That's all.
Mr. Mayor, I have one more thing that I would like to say, and hopefully I won't have anything else to say on this issue. I would like to remind Councillor McDonald and Councillor Mullen, because perhaps, they have not been elected by the people, but there are councillors on here that have been elected by the people, and we are their servants. We are not their boss, so they're not asking their boss for money. They're asking for their tax dollars to go to a certain area. So you can insert a business name or you can insert a residence name. But no matter what you insert there, we are not their boss. They are our boss. So I just want that clear.
Mr. Mayor, unnecessary. I can guarantee you that Councilor McDonald and I, not to speak for you, Ben, I am very well aware that the citizens of Stayton are my boss. I signed up for this, and I'm in my third year because I care about this city, and I do care about the people. But I also have a job to hear feedback and provide that bridge to city staff.
Telling people to come and get it is not appropriate either.
Okay, now
Mr. Mayor,
let's not get the knives out too far.
Mr. Mayor,
We gotta put them down. Go
I
ahead.
just don't need a reminder that, maybe they're better servants than I because they were elected. I think that's a low blow and unnecessary.
I was elected and I agree with that statement.
I'd like to remember that we're all trying to do our best here, you guys.
I don't think that people need to be reminded of, our political power that we have by saying something about being their boss and coming and getting money. That seems completely uncalled for.
Mr. Mayor,
Can I respond, please?
Let's, can we move along here before, like you said, the knives come out too far?
I want to be a very polite response. I don't mean to make, and when I made that analogy, I didn't mean to make it that direct. What I intended was that, whether, and you're correct in that we serve the public, I agree. But it is also not our job to hold everyone's hand, hold them in. There's constraints that we're dealing with here that aren't normal. And I just think that if there's organizations asking for financial support, then we need to have details and we need to know what they're doing. We can't just go in with no plan, make allowances when we also have a responsibility to the rest of the city that isn't asking for additional funds or whatever, to know what we're doing with that. And that's all. I don't mean to think that we as government officials are all powerful or there was an analogy in that there's a responsibility to the citizen as well to make their case, to make their case, and we can't just dole out money willy-nilly. And I haven't seen that. That's all.
Mr. Mayor, I have one final comment. I would just really like us to all recognize, and I see all the points. I see what you all are saying. I just want us to, can we at least recognize that we didn't give people the opportunity during the budget meeting? Can we all, do you disagree with me on that? We did not give people the opportunity. That's why I'm saying that we're doing our best, but there's a hole there. And I'm telling you, hey, there's a hole there. And I'm not saying that you're wrong or you're wrong. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm just saying, hey, I'm disappointed in our process. We didn't give people the opportunity like we keep saying that we want to give them. So we need to give them that. And I think it's worth it to acknowledge that point. That's all I'm saying on that. Well, but I don't feel that way. I don't let me hear that. So that's why that's why I brought it up again.
Mr. Mayor, I agree with Councilor Ort. I just want to make that clear on the record.
We seem to be winding down on this. Can we get a council decision on resolution 1007?
Mr. Mayor.
I'd like to make a motion that we reopen the public comment period and we wait to make a decision on this until next meeting to give people the opportunity to present information to us.
Okay, so I have in the form of a motion, Councilor Ord offers a motion to defer the decision on resolution 1007. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
Mr. Mayor, I will not be voting on this, but I second.
Is that legit?
I'm not sure can make a motion and abstain. I'm going to see if I might need to pause to see if we can do that.
Okay, we should definitely go through all of the video then and make sure that no other counselor's done that in the past.
I don't think anyone has in recent memory. In the last several years.
The general guideline would be that a counselor shouldn't abstain unless there is a specific legal reason not to do so.
I did not hear all of the public hearings.
Okay, so I don't know my Robert's rules right off of someone who, if can second it, they don't vote on the motion. That's where I'm just putting it out there. So I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't.
Well, I'm willing to say that yes, I can do that. So.
Yes, you can do what, please?
That I can participate in conversation and I can second or make a motion, but I cannot vote on it. I just cannot vote. If I don't want to vote on something and I abstain, that's the only thing that stops me. Like, I can decide at the very last minute that I want to abstain from something because I remember something last minute.
What would we do if you get in a situation where the chair of whatever body you're sitting on insists that you vote because you can't come up with a valid reason not to? I don't know what you do with that. Anyway, I'll go ahead and accept that second, unhappily and unwillingly, but I'll accept it. A motion and a second to defer the vote on the decision on resolution 1007 tonight. This discussion?
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilor.
Yes.
wanted to go ahead and say here, my vote will be no on this, but the reason being is I don't want to see city staff have to wonder if they're going to get paychecks in July during a global pandemic. And I'm sorry, but they did have the opportunity to present to us what they wanted in written testimony. And if I was presented that information, I too would be able to make a decision on that. And I really want to. I mean, I know I've shared that. I want to see all these organizations come forward and present what they need our money for. That's all I was going to say.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the reason I seconded that, I want to be clear, is because I want to have all of our local government have to hold themselves accountable for the decisions that they're making, which is done through votes in our minutes. I'm not voting tonight because I was late to this meeting because I was in an NAACP meeting and I needed to finish that because there's a curfew that has been put on for 8 o'clock tonight in Salem. And I did not hear all of whatever happened in the public hearing. Therefore, I don't feel like I can make a judgment that is fully informed because I don't know what happened for whatever 20 minutes I missed. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Melissa, go ahead and poll the council on that motion, please.
Sure. Counselor Hook,
I'm abstaining.
Counselor McDonald,
No.
Counselor Mullen,
No.
Counselor Ort,
Yes.
and Counselor Patty.
No.
Motion fails 3-1 with 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make another motion.
Good.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we adopt the 2020-21 budget as presented.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Do I have a second, please? I have a motion to approve Resolution 1007, adopting the fiscal year 2021 budget, making appropriations and levying property taxes for the fiscal year, as presented. Is there a second?
Yes, seconded.
Okay, Councilman McDonald, thank you. Discussion on the motion.
Mr. Mayor,
We will run this into the ground, but let's hear a little more.
I'm just going to echo the exact same thing that I said on the last motion, is why I will be abstaining for this one as well.
Anyone else? If not, Melissa, would you poll the council on this one, please? A motion to approve. Resolution 1007. Go ahead.
Sure. Let's see. Counselor Patty,
Yes.
Counselor Ort,
No.
Counselor Mullen,
Yes.
Counselor McDonald,
Yes.
Counselor Hook.
Abstaining.
Motion passes 3-1 with 1 abstention.
Okay, thank you. Moving along, there is another piece of business that will revive our lagging hopes for something good to come out of this. The results of local option levy for support of library, parks, and pools. Informational, Susanna,
Yes,
you're on. Staff report.
the levy did not pass, and the votes that were, the elections that was just done. So at this time, that's gonna put the budget in kind of a interesting moving going forward. The levy is for the 21-22 year. The levy right now will expire on June 30th of 21. At this time, the city is going to be going back and reevaluating if they want to take the 70 cents back to the voters in the fall, or if they want to make a different adjustment according to giving some time to take a look at what's happening with the COVID situation and the economics that are happening. And the city also needs some time to evaluate what that's gonna look like, understanding that the pool and the library are looking at about $185,000 loss, and the park are down 41. The biggest concern, of course, at this time is the pool, because we've got more than $1 million worth of repairs to do to the pool. So we're gonna have to really take some time to take a look at that. Questions? We basically wanted to let you guys know what was going on, that it didn't pass, and that the city's really gonna have to take some time to really look at that. I'm gonna really have to come up with some different scenarios financially, take a look at our best way to move forward through this fiscal year until we can take it back to the voters and see what happens.
Susanna, is there any preliminary thinking on when to go back and try it either this year or next?
From the understanding that we've been told to take it back this fall would be difficult, and harder to get it to approve. Keith is the expert on this part. So taking it in the spring, not in this November's election, but the following ones would be the best time to take it back, and that still has, if it's approved, there's still plenty of time for the 7-1 budget for the 21-22 budget. Yes.
Mr.
My
Mayor.
numbers mixed up.
Mr.
Yeah, next year's budget, not the one we just approved, the following.
Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so I do think, I mean, you know, I have an elections background, but I think what we want to do is, there was a lot of people that were involved who are stakeholders in the pool, in the park, and the library, and other people that have reached out to me. So I think what we want to do is have a conversation with them, just to look. I mean, I think the concern in going out in November is it's hard to be the signal through the noise with the presidential and the other big races that are on there. So it can be really difficult sometimes to get your message through during those timeframes. But I think their community, there's a lot of people who have already reached out to me, and so I think we're going to need to do some work just to have conversations with them to see when the best time is going to be, and then to work with the council. Ultimately, that's going to be your decision to decide when we do it. But we have essentially 2 more chances, November and then next spring. There's risk and reward with all of those. And so it's just gonna be a matter of trying to see, what we hear and what we think, and trying to move in the best path forward, and how we can message to the community to help them understand, the value of that levy.
Thank you, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
Discussion, councilors. Thoughts on this?
Mr. Mayor, this is Councilor Carter.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say, whoever put the staff report together, this was fantastic. It was very helpful to know what our situation is and how grim it is. I look forward for another opportunity to succeed. Thank you.
Okay. Susanna?
Yes. What?
Anything else? At least me to you, anything you want to add to that?
I would say just know that, we have worked really hard. Julie and I have spent a lot of hours with Keith as well, trying to evaluate the best conservative way to keep the most important things that the community wanted for the pool going, to balance out some of the repairs. With the uncertainty of COVID and what it's really going to do, we've approved a budget, but honestly, this budget probably needs to even be tighter than what we've approved, depending on how things go. As we take month by month and slowly look through this, we might need to even tighten down harder than we even did. So it's really just you have to have some time to really look at and play some different budget models to see what we can do going forward, knowing the needs of the city as a whole, to keep all the other funds going and take care of the pool and the library and parks at the same time.
All right, thank you. Another fine statement. Anything else? Paul?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment that I'm in favor of trying to have 2 opportunities. I know that November is a little bit harder, but I would love to be connected with committee members that are, trying to help get out awareness about the levy and the importance of it. I'd love to get connected with those people and help them with that. I'd love to see, us try at least, you know, if we have 2 times, I'd really like to see us try both times.
Thank you. All right. Someone else?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
I'm just curious, what the cost is, to have that on the ballot, or the cost of taxpayers, anything to have it on twice? Like, how much are we talking to have it put on the ballot?
Susanna, can you help us with that, or
Alyssa, was there be involved?
There shouldn't,
From the city, not the tax.
yeah, there shouldn't be, it's not a district election.
Yes.
Thank you.
So next year,
We don't
maybe.
believe there is.
Yeah, we don't believe that there is.
Thank
Just
you.
the public, just do we have, is there something we pay for, do we do a notice or something?
No.
I'm still learning this myself.
There are times where you have to pay to be a part of an election, but I don't believe in this situation we would have to.
the general? All right. Anyone else? Well, let's move on then to the last item on our agenda this evening, and one that offers some promise, as I said earlier. Resolution authorizing submittal of a CDBG Business Assistance Grant. Mr. Fleischman, it's resolution number 1008. The submission of an application for a community development block grant from the Infrastructure Finance Authority and authorizing intergovernmental and sub-grantee agreements. Mr. Fleischman.
Good, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening. Before I begin on this, I want to give you some even better news than this potential good news. And that is, in case you have not been told by the city manager yet, on late Thursday afternoon, we received an email from Business Oregon that our grant application for the $25,000 of state money for emergency business assistance was selected to be awarded. We have not yet received any of the paperwork necessary in the contract, so we have not begun the publicity and the marketing of that to the business community, but just wanted to let you know that hopefully that is in the works and should be arriving soon. And that is money from this current fiscal year. This that we put before you tonight is a resolution authorizing staff to submit an application for additional money. This is federal money that is funneled through the state, through the Community Development Block Grant. On last Friday, the 22nd, the state released the methodology for distributing these funds. They have set aside $2 million for grants to local governments. The grants may be up to $150,000. There is no local match requirement. And the money is to be used to provide assistance to small businesses and micro enterprises impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The state began accepting applications last Tuesday. They announced the program on Friday. Monday was a holiday, and began accepting applications on a first come, first served basis on Tuesday. They have set up the program similar to the housing rehabilitation program that we are running, in that they require those applications to come from multiple units of local government working together. And they require that the grant recipient enter into a contract with a qualified nonprofit organization to administer the business assistance program. We have reached out to the cities of Almsville and Sublimity, and they have expressed interest, and we are working on an intergovernmental agreement with those two other cities. We have also had conversations with two nonprofit organizations that have experience in business assistance. Community Lending Works, which is a program of Northwest Development, which is a recently formed organization when two nonprofit community development organizations merged. NEDCO, what does that stand for? Neighborhood Economic Development Corporation and Willamette Northwest Housing Development Corporation merged recently, and Merit Northwest. We have asked each of them to submit a written proposal on grant administration, and I expect to get those on Wednesday. Prior to submitting the application, we need to hold a public hearing. Our normal process and normal times would be to place that before you to hold a public hearing at a regular council meeting. Because of the scheduling on this, because it is first come, first served, because of the notice requirement before the public hearing, and the requirement that not only we hold the public hearing, but the application include the approved minutes of the hearing, we would not be able to submit our application until the end of July if we waited until your next council meeting to hold that public hearing. So therefore, we have advertised the public hearing to be held next Wednesday, June 10th at 10 a.m. at the community center. We'll be able to hold the hearing, prepare the minutes, get them approved, and get our application submitted very soon afterwards, rather than waiting a couple of weeks. So with that, you've got before you Resolution 10,008, or rather 1,008, that authorizes the submission of the grant application, acceptance of the grant should it be awarded, entering into an intergovernmental agreement with the cities of Almsville and Sublimity, and authorizing the city manager to execute any of the necessary agreements with the selected nonprofit organization for program administration. I will answer any questions you have. Otherwise, the staff recommends adoption of Resolution 1008 as presented.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. And Keith?
Yeah, I just want to add on to Dan's. I mean, we talk about the challenges in COVID-19. This is one of those unique challenges, and we're breaking what I would say are a lot of rules on how things are normally done and processed. And we're working with the state to do this. Dan, you know, we had a lot of conversations because this isn't normal process, but this isn't normal time. So I want to acknowledge to all of you, this is a little bit strange. What we're asking is strange. We work with the state. They've agreed with this process, and we're trying to expedite this because if it's first come, first serve, those who can move fastest have the best chance. And did I miss anything on that?
Oh, you got it. Mr. Mayor? Yes, Dan.
I'm just curious the reasons for and advantages of this intergovernmental agreement.
The state is requiring that applications come from at least 2 units of local government. So we may not submit the application by ourselves. We reached out to Sublimity and Almsville basically because in talking about this program for the past several weeks, primarily with the chamber, they are the 2 cities nearby. We overlap, you know, their businesses in those 2 communities are likely to be Stayton Sublimity chamber members. We can coordinate the marketing, et cetera. The bottom line is the state will not allow us to submit an application on our own.
Anyone else? Good. Thank you, Dan. Questions, thoughts?
Mr.
Discussion?
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Dan, just out of curiosity, is there like a cap on, like a maximum on how each organization is allowed to request?
Each business is going to be assisted, is that what you mean?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, yes, there is, for a small, let me back up. A micro enterprise is defined as a business with either 5 or fewer or less than 5 employees. They may receive up to $10,000. For a small business, which would be something larger than a micro enterprise, they must show that they are preserving one job per every $2,500 that they receive.
Good questions, good answers. Other thoughts, questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
with the thought part, I just wanted to say a big thank you to the city staff for acting on this so quickly and realizing that we did have to move on it. I know that you guys have been working really hard on this for a while, so thank you very much, and I'm sure that our businesses will be very happy about this.
Good. Almost too fast, but that's good. Other discussion? If not, let's go to a decision on this. We get a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we approve resolution 1008 as presented. This is Councilor Patty, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
I'll second.
Have a second, Councilor Lord. A motion and a second to approve resolution 1008, 1008 as presented. Discussion. Not, Melissa, would you poll the council, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I just wanted to say that I'm very excited about this, and I'm excited for us to possibly do something similar to this for the next fiscal year.
Melissa? Where'd
Yep.
you go?
I'm here.
Don't run off. Okay, poll the council on this one, please.
Sure. Counselor Hook,
Yes.
Counselor McDonald.
Yeah.
Counselor Ort,
Yes.
Counselor Mullen,
Yes.
Counselor Patty.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you. If there's nothing else this evening, let's give it up.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a couple things actually.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
And there'll be a
Mr.
follow.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I was speaking to a counselor out of Mill City, and we were talking about having an attorney at meetings, and he said that they have their attorney come to the first meeting of every month, so they have them there. They have 2 meetings a month as well, and so they have their attorney there just to give updates and be there for questions. And it really got me thinking that there's a lot of situations where we have questions that Keith shouldn't be expected to be put in the middle of because he's not our attorney. And so I'd like to make it a motion to look into options of possibly hiring a new attorney that we can have access to on a regular basis.
I don't know that we need motions on this stuff.
I just don't know how, I mean, but it can't be just one counselor who wants it, so.
Outside the regular business of the council.
I agree with Councilor North.
You can suggest that we, make it an item on the next agenda. I accept that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I agree with Councilor Ort. I would hope that we wouldn't have to wait all the way till the next meeting to have the city start looking into this at least, or city staff look into this. Otherwise, I think maybe a motion is appropriate now.
Bring it to have staff look into it and bring it to the next meeting. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think what my concern would be on this is you can't make a decision for something that's not on the council agenda, but we could put it on the next agenda. Also, I'm trying to pull it up. We need to look at the charter about that whole process and what it speaks to. But I think to the mayor's point, I understand concern if there's a delay, but to the mayor's point, sorry, I'm trying to look up at the same time. Let me look up. I think we would need to bring it forward for a discussion point for the council at the next time, and that way it's on the agenda, so the public would have a chance to comment on it if they wanted to.
I'm okay with that. I'd just like to be able to have a discussion about it and look at our options.
Okay, all right, that's fine, thank you. Anything else this evening?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one more thing.
One more thing, okay.
So, in the information that was sent out to us regarding, hold on, I'm trying to pull it up as I talk. Our phase 1 plan for the city, and what steps we're gonna do to try to protect, staff in the community. There was one part in there that I had a concern about, and I wanted to bring it to the council, and that is that, there is a requirement that anytime, members of the public come into contact or go into city buildings, that they are required to wear a mask. And this is based on CDC recommendations. However, that's a recommendation and that is not necessarily a requirement. My concerns are for financial issues, but also ADA regulations. So those require that we make medical accommodations for people who might not necessarily be able to wear a mask. And there are several different reasons why someone would or would not be able to wear a mask. And we are not allowed to ask those things the same way that we would not be able to ask someone with a dog whether or not it was actually a service animal. And so I would like us to really consider redefining this policy and certainly making it a recommendation, and highly recommended it. But I do not believe that we should be mandating anyone to do this. I really think that that can open up doors to liability issues.
Would you indulge my curiosity, Counselor? This is the second time I've heard that suggested that there are some that just can't wear masks if they're among the breathing. Well, maybe they have. I don't know. I'm curious. Would you lay out some possibilities why a person couldn't wear a mask? Or should? Is it a shouldn't or couldn't? Either one. I'm curious. Please.
I really can't speak to other people's medical conditions and why they would not be able to, but our policy does not allow for ADA accommodation. And one of the angles that was brought to me was that we offer other ways for people to access their services. And I firmly believe that when a taxpayer is paying for their services, they should be able to have access to them. But saying that we allow people to phone in or go on the internet to allow their services is the same thing as saying, well, we shouldn't have to allow ramps because people in wheelchairs would be able to access their services online or on the phone, so we don't have to do that. I know that that is a completely different situation, but it's the same thing when you're talking about ADA compliance.
I just keep hearing this one about masks.
Mr. Mayor.
I just would like to look at that. I'd just like to hear who has to go out in public and can't wear a mask. I mean, there may be some, but I just like to know who. I mean, I live in a handicapped household, and we can wear masks. We're about as bad off as people can be, and yet still manage to function.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a list of people that may or may not be able to wear a mask, and again, it's not attached to them and their medical condition. But they can include trauma survivors, people who have panic attacks or anxiety, people with hearing disabilities, people with autism, and people with airway restrictions, including asthma.
Those are examples. Thank you. That's good. You satisfied my curiosity on that one. Okay, thanks. I don't know that takes care of the situation, but those are examples. Thank you. Yes, Counselor.
I spoke with a resident from our own community last night, and they told me that because of their chronic lung disorder, they cannot wear a mask. So we do have people in our own community that can't do that.
You've got chronic lung disorder. Can you wear a mask?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. I was just conferring with the boss here. But that's fine. No, I understand. Okay. Other comments, thoughts on this one?
Point of order. I don't feel like public comment was supposed to be coming into our meeting at this moment.
No, these are unusual times and situations. Some stuff happens that wouldn't happen ordinarily. Thank you. Other thoughts and comments on any of this?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I actually tend to agree with Councilor Ward on this one. I don't think, it may not even be a legal issue, but I don't think that we can require masks in a public building. There's no, right now the CDC is just a recommendation. There's no law. I understand it's different for private businesses who can choose to allow or not to allow people not wearing masks in their own business, but I don't think it's a public entity that we should require that.
All right. Other thoughts on this one? I was wondering if, and this is baiting, I was wondering if Councilor Ort was going to bring up whether we have to obey these restrictions on a constitutional issue, and I was hoping she wouldn't, but she might, so I decided to bait her tonight, and I apologize for that, but that's what I did. No one here is a constitutional lawyer, so I don't think we ought to have arguments and discussions on that one, but that's that. Anything else tonight? If not, let's go home or stay home, okay? All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, folks. Have a good one. Stay safe. Alyssa, get us out of this.